Judge Craig DeThomasis. He's gone, right, George?
Bye, 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 bye. Can't get that song out of my head.
Ding dong, the judge is gone, the judge is gone, the judge is gone. Ding dong, the wicked judge is gone.
From Levy County.
And he's receiving national attention from real journalists. Megan Fox, a national journalist, not a jokelist, right, George?
A true advocate
Yeah.
for children and elderly and just
for
people
sure.
in general.
Yep. And she wrote an article just a few days ago about Judge Craig DeThomasis. He's been booted from the What the Hales case by the appellate courts, which is rather interesting because if my memory serves me correct, what did Judge Craig say in court?
Well, why don't we remind them by putting a clip in right here, right from the horse's mouth?
Obviously, I don't think it's going to come to fruition.
Boy, was he ever wrong. And practicing illegally. The appellate courts truly stated, as we're going to see in Megan's article, that what he does was unlawful. And if I were to put a definition to unlawful, I would put the definition as illegal. It's against the law what he actually did. When you found out, George, how did that make you feel that Judge Craig was gone forever?
So many emotions running within me. It definitely came into fruition.
Yeah, that did happen for sure. He was wrong on that one.
He was wrong.
Yeah.
Just the nonsense of the prejudice and just the bias just oozing from his mouth, and the most embarrassing part of for him, I was embarrassed for him, was that he's supposed to be a professor teaching the law,
Educator.
and this is what he's doing in his courtroom. I would not ever sign up for his class.
His poor students. So Megan Fox on August 16th, 2024 at 11:23 released this article about Judge Craig. We're done with Judge Craig, but he's by no means done with us. We will do everything within our sphere of influence to make sure he doesn't damage any more lives. Let's jump right into the article. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pin it in the comments because I want you to be able to read it for yourself. Megan does an incredible job. She goes on to say, Florida Judge Craig DeThomasis, who has earned the nickname Judge Craig. Why did he get that nickname?
He was just so rogue. He became so rogue in the courtroom.
Yeah, definitely. Judge Craig online has been booted off a high-profile case against YouTuber Jeremy Hales of What the Hales fame. Is that us?
That's definitely...
That'd be us!
You're definitely in the right channel.
That'd be us, yeah. This would be your citizen journalist quoting a national journalist right now. Now, I am not at the level of Megan Fox by any stretch of the imagination, but we can report what's going on in our lives.
In our own personal
Yes,
lives, not other people's lives.
This is our personal life story, and it has had ups and downs, and it has been horrific and challenging, and this is the one triumph of all of this. The appellate court in Florida found cause to remove DeThomasis for bias. Right there. You can see it right above my finger. Bias. Okay. They removed him for bias, which is, I had so many names for Judge Craig. Judge Craig DeThomasis.
There was DeBiasis. Now he's DeGonesis.
Constantine DeGonesis. We could go on and on and on and on. The appellate courts in Florida found cause to remove DeThomasis for bias after he removed Hale's constitutional rights, including his right to protect himself. That's my Second Amendment right with firearms, for almost a year, without ever having an evidentiary hearing where Hales could have proved he was the victim of false claims. Now, let's go through some of these rights that I lost. Number one, he took away my First Amendment rights, my freedom of speech. Now, anybody has that freedom of speech, and with that freedom of speech, You also have the freedom not to listen. If George does not
Correct.
want to listen to what I'm saying right now, what can you do, George?
I could get up and walk away. If
Yep.
we're on the phone and I don't want to hear what he's talking about, I could just easily hang up.
Do you do it like the old school, like "Ah!"
If
with yourself? Is
if
that
I-
why you go through so many cell phones?
If I don't want to hear what he has to say on the What the Hell's channel, I don't have to go on the app, click on it, and watch.
That's how easy it is?
That's how
Huh.
simple it is.
Well, he took away that First Amendment right, stating that I couldn't even say somebody's name, stating that I couldn't use public photos that were taken in the public, particularly in town hall meetings where everything is public, stating that I couldn't film, stating that I couldn't comment, stating that anybody connected with me, which truly means the planet,
That means you folks at home.
took away your right and your freedom of speech as well. No judge has that authority. No judge has that power. Took away my protection. And so one of the reasons why George has been in Florida and I have been in Ohio is because when I'm with George under this temporary injunction, we can't have firearms. When I'm away from George, George can have added security of her own firearms, personal, private protection, and I'm not going to dig into that too deep, but others in her sphere of influence can have those firearms as well, whereas myself in Ohio, because of this bogus temporary injunction, I have no right. So
And it
right
puts
now,
restrictions on me and my protection as well.
so with me being in Ohio and George being in Florida, she has all of her legal rights whatsoever that Judge Craig DeThomasis attempted to take away. Because I'm here right now, her rights are actually limited. So he didn't just take away my rights. He took away your rights. He took away employee rights. He took away the town of Otter Creek's rights. He took away anybody in a sphere of influence of rights. He took away my right to drive on a public road. What judge has the authority to take away public
Well,
transportation?
Not just public road, but the road that you personally live on, that you reside on.
That I have more frontage and acreage than anybody else on the road. And I have 3 driveways on that road, 4 total, but 3 of them can only be accessed from the road.
That is correct.
We can't go through the virgin forest and try and get to where those access points are. It's non-existent. You can't get through the vegetation and the woods. And so he's taken that away from me. He's taken away the right of a speedy trial. And the reality is it goes on and on and on. He's taken our money. Things that we could have done positive for people, funds that we could have used to actually help the residents of Levy County. He has taken that and extending this bogus court.
You mean a fraudulent filing
Oh, well, we could
on
go.
the petitioner's
We
part?
could go fraudulent. Let's do that. You want to go fraudulent?
Yes.
All right, we'll say.
I dislike that word now, fraudulent, just as much as I dislike the word moist.
Okay. Well, Megan used false, but it would have been funny if she used fraudulent.
She should have used fraudulent.
Yeah, well, she's
Is
probably.
it too late for her to
Yeah,
go
well,
back and edit it?
I think it probably. Well,
I should make a recommendation.
we'll see. Okay, so Megan goes on to say, as we're looking here at the actual article online, she says, Hales, who runs a YouTube channel with over 700,000 subscribers and makes videos of treasure hunting and storage units. We'll just stop right there. So while the channel has over 700,000 subscribers on YouTube mean very little, although we encourage you to subscribe. Views mean everything. And so we're coming up around the bend over into 500 million views, which that excites us. And if you want to subscribe, it's free, 100% free. But so many people base YouTube channels on subscriber count. Subscriber count means nothing. It's the same as if you were to post a picture on Facebook and you go in, and if you go and look at that picture, what's the first thing you're looking for to see how many people clicked on what?
How many people liked it or
Okay.
reacted to that photo?
Yeah. And so YouTube subscribers is really the same thing. And YouTube has a like button. It also has comments. And in the past, that actually meant something to YouTube. And it does not anymore. Liking, disliking, commenting, while those are all fun things to do, It does nothing for the algorithm in YouTube, and subscribers does nothing for the algorithm on YouTube. We hear tiny channels cry and complain and go, the YouTube caters towards larger channels. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life.
What the hell? Before it was What the Hell's
was a teeny tiny channel. There was a time when there was no subscribers. There were no views. YouTube doesn't cater to anyone except the viewer, and it shows videos that people want to see. And if channels have very few views and very few subcounts, it's because people don't like them.
Right.
So in other words,
if they don't find you relatable, why would they follow and watch?
So
let alone subscribe, which is free.
Yeah. Don't blame it on YouTube, because YouTube isn't the problem. The YouTuber is the problem.
The person behind the camera,
Yeah,
the person offering the content.
We never, ever thought that we would actually be living through this and needing to put this online for accountability and protection, knowing that Levy County has done absolutely nothing to help protect our rights.
Who buys 70 acres just to buy 70 acres? We intentionally bought 70 acres in the middle of nowhere because we wanted to get away from people in general. And that's how our crazy neighbor found us, from watching our videos on YouTube.
Which she literally wrote it in the court records that she watched, and she went, oh, the prices of land are going to skyrocket. I thought this would be a great investment. You just sit there, and we never anticipated ever having to share this. We love treasure hunting. As a matter of fact, some of our most favorite videos, unfortunately, are some of our least viewed videos, where we helped restore eyesight to somewhere, when we helped purchase 2 brand new speedboats for a Christian camp, where we helped with the backpacks and all the school supplies for the orphans in Egypt, where, I mean, we could go on and on and on what some of our favorite videos are. They seem to get the least amount of views, what we really like to do. We don't film for the sake of, oh, well, you know, most people would have held this in private, and we did for a long time, and nothing got rectified. And we came to a conclusion: the only way that there was potential going to be a solution to this is if the corruption and the bad behavior and the insanity of it all was broadcasted, and we literally held it on a platform where it could never disappear, it could never go away, and it would expose the things that were happening. And so it's been very difficult.
We're safeguarding it?
Well, we are safeguarding it. And George, you and I, we've been in part of Bible study groups where I've even shared with our members that, you know, I have this internal struggle of, I hate having to put this stuff online. And yet I also know if I don't, this is going to keep happening, not only to us, but it's going to happen to other people. And the thing that hurts me most is other people may not be able to afford this fraudulent fight in Levy County.
Or even have the platform to be heard.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's beyond concerning, but we do praise the Lord that He's given us a platform and that we can use it for good. And unfortunately, at this point in time, we have to use it to expose the bad. And we look forward. I think we both just deeply, deeply look forward to where we never have to share anything about it ever again. Where court is over, where individuals stop the insanity, where the corruption is gone in Otter Creek, and people can live peacefully and people can live happily. And so we got to keep on going in this article. So they love videos of storage hunting, treasure hunting, and storage units. They were hit with a retaliatory protective order by his neighbor, Lynette Preston, after Hales got a protective order against her and her live-in companion. Would you call him her soulmate?
According to recent news, her abuser, who she calls a runk and a dealer, is now her soulmate.
Court records, she did this in Florida, in Levy County. And John Crook for stalking and harassment in Ohio. Let's focus on this retaliatory thing, because in court, Lynette continued to say that we were retaliating against her getting an order. Why don't you discuss that a little bit? What's the timeline?
That definitely was not the case. May of 2023, Jeremy hired an attorney to issue a cease and desist to both her and her cohabitant. That's the word that the Levy County Sheriff used the day that Crook pulled out a firearm.
He is not my husband.
The 8-year-old child, along with the 2 adults, while they were visiting Tubetown, signing the guest book.
He's my soulmate.
So all of a sudden now he's the soulmate. The same dude she ratted out, threw under the bus, and why...
The reason he's in jail...
Yeah.
Now, he's in jail for his own actions, the consequences to his actions, but it was Lynette that ratted him out and told the truth and put him in jail.
Coffin.
Yeah, definitely did that. But
so then fast forward in September on the live, we go live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Jeremy had announced that we were going to be filing for a protection order in Ohio. Days later, that's when she ran to the courthouse to file her first petition for it's called an injunction here in Florida, which is the same thing as a protection order, just different verbiage. So think about that timeline.
And there is a legal
retaliatory.
timeline. Yeah, there is a legal timeline. You can see it in all the courts and all the paperwork.
In a retaliatory behavior, it's definitely her.
And I find it odd, and I don't seem to say that nearly enough, that she literally will try and copy everything we do.
She has mimicked a lot of things that we've done.
For sure. And it's concerning. It's we try and educate and teach people to be fun employed and how to do that. Now, that's okay. But with this whole legal process, for example, we're going to go get a civil protection order. Then days later, she goes and, by her own words and verbiage, she runs to the Levy County Courthouse to get a civil or an injunction. George states that because of all of this, she's in counseling, which she is. And now all of a sudden, Lynette's in counseling. Can you see the pattern? And we could go on and on and on and on and on.
There are a lot of examples out there, but let's get back to the article.
Okay. While the judge in Ohio saw the pair as a clear threat to the Hale's safety, which is very true. We got an ex parte civil protection order, and then we got a full permanent civil protection order because of all the threats, all the things. And there are some things we have never shared online, the vile, disgusting things that these two have done to us and to the other residents of Otter Creek. YouTube is... should be typically family friendly, and we try and keep it as family friendly as we can, even though some of these issues are not family friendly at all.
A lot of the things that they've posted have what's called trigger words that is not family friendly and should not be shared on any platform, social media platform. Therefore, we try and censor it or use an alternative word. And
should never, ever be said or ever been done in the first place. That's why they find themselves in the situation they are. So while the judge in Ohio saw the pair as a clear threat to Hale's safety, DeThomasis refused to uphold the Ohio order or hear Hale's evidence that spend 11 months. Instead, he spent 11 months listening to Preston's complaints, allowing her to dodge her own deposition, give false information to the court. Now, we'll pause right there. DeThomasis refused to uphold the Ohio order. What does the law have to say about that? We have civil protection orders. What's the law have to say?
The law states that the judge has to take full faith and credit with the Ohio Civil Stalking Protection Order. He clearly even said it in either one of the ex parte hearings or one of the initial hearings before she lawyered up and was able to afford a lawyer. He clearly said that. And
yet he has done the exact opposite. In other words, we should have Florida injunctions against Lynette and Crook, but he has refused. We actually filled out all the paperwork. We took a day, if not two, to get all the paperwork, all the evidence ready, get all the copies, and he denied it. Then he sealed it, meaning that nobody could ever see what he said about it unless we came in and paid additional money. What was it, $400?
It was $1 a page.
It's almost $400 to get his ruling where he denied everything, sealed everything, and refuses to actually uphold our civil protection orders.
Even though in the same order he clearly stated that yes, these are violations of the protection order that you currently have.
So federal law states that he must accept it in good faith and credit and apply it. State law in Florida states the exact same thing. Remember, state law can't go against federal law. You can't go into Florida and go, no. Federal law says we have to take this in good faith and credit and give it to Jeremy and George. We're not going to do it. You can't break federal law. State law has to be in alignment with federal law. But that's exactly what Levy County Sheriff has done. Even the state attorney wrote a letter to all of the deputies stating, I strongly encourage you not to enforce this. And then he had to backpedal because we've exposed all of this, which then Detective Bauer said, we're going to enforce it corner to corner to corner to corner, meaning everything within that paperwork they were going to actually enforce, which to date they've done nothing. Literally nothing. You saw Deputy Duncan illegally, corruptly turning his microphone off. You saw Deputy Duncan literally going, I don't trust that piece of paper, as his partner is going, what are you talking about? It has
court stamps.
The court stamps and seals are right here. There's something drastically wrong in this county. Drastically.
I do want to add that Detective Narayan and Lieutenant Anderson did do their part. They submitted a sworn statement. However, it was up to the state's attorney's office to make the decision.
And
they decided to do nothing. So at times there's things that are out of the hand of the Levy County Sheriff. So
and the state attorney's office is one of those things. So Narayan and Anderson, we feel, have tried to actually fight the corruption. And at the same time, you've got Lynette telling everybody, well, Anderson's on my side, Beecham's on my side, which they could be playing double side, good cop, bad cop, or they truly could. And if I've done something illegal, if you've done something illegal, we deserve the consequences of that. Now, I don't believe either of us have done anything illegal at all.
No.
But Judge Grudge seems to think that listening to Lynette for 11 months about her complaints, dodging her deposition, which is illegal, pleading the fifth, which is not okay. So there are those that go, well, I can plead the fifth in anything. No, you can't. You can't bring a lawsuit against somebody and then in your deposition plead the fifth. That negates the lawsuit. So immediately, Judge Grudge should have thrown the lawsuit out because you can't have your cake and eat it too, is what it comes down to.
So let's do a little role play, okay?
I ain't gonna complain.
I'll be the petitioner, Lynette.
Okay.
Or should I call her Lice?
You could call her Lice-net. You could call her Licey.
Lice-shell.
You could call her Lice
Oh my
Shell.
gosh, why is my scalp itching?
Lice-net, Lice Shell,
Okay.
Licey. Whatever
so
you want.
I'll be her.
Okay.
I'll be the petitioner.
Okay. I'm ready.
Seeking a protection order.
Who am I?
You're the judge. Or you could be the attorney giving the deposition.
Hey, Licey.
You could be the attorney.
Remember when you danced on that pole for me back in 08?
No, let's keep it professional. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're
All
the
right.
attorney.
Wait,
I'm the petitioner.
Wait,
Licey.
which attorney am I?
The one that's deposing her.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right. I need a protection order. I need to protect myself from Jeremy Hills.
Who's Jeremy Hills?
I plead the fifth.
What's your real name?
I plead the fifth.
How many names do you have?
I plead the fifth.
Is your anxiety over the roof?
I plead the fifth. How is this relevant?
Oh, okay. So in other words, you can't bring a court case in and not give evidence or communicate to why you did it, which means immediately, legally, it should be thrown out.
Well, you forgot an important question.
Oh, which was it?
Why do you need a protection
Why do you need a protection order?
I plead the fifth. I need it. I just need it.
Oh, okay. Is your anxiety off the chain?
You already asked that question.
Oh, okay. Let me rephrase it.
But I plead
the fifth. Did your daughter just fall?
I plead the fifth.
can you show me how you suck on that Stanley Cup straw one more time so I can come up with the worst nightmare movie of scare ever?
I stole that from Walmart when I skip scanned them. So that's basically what she did during her deposition.
And you can't do that.
You cannot do that.
Judge Grudge should have immediately thrown the case out, which we believe Judge Davis literally will. All right, allowing her to dodge her deposition, give false information to the court. She lied, said Mark Feather tried to bribe her, which is funny because Judge Grudge actually encouraged Mark Feather to communicate with her to try and come up with some kind of resolution. And then she files supplemental saying that Mark Feather tried to bribe her. So now that's how I got a temporary injunction on me based off of that. So something I didn't even do, a rogue judge places a temporary injunction on me, strips me of all my legal rights. And
threats,
yours.
No threats on his part.
And yours.
Nothing. And somehow, all of a sudden, magically, a temporary protection order came into fruition based on something someone else did.
DeThomasis berated Hales. He did this a lot. And his lawyers mercilessly. That's a tough one to say. Say Massachusetts.
Mercilessly.
All right, you got that one. You got that one. In several hearings, and refused to remove the temporary restraining order that barred Hales from driving on the road that led to his property, while Preston delayed the case for months. Now, here's the funny part. Lynette in court stated, I never go by his driveway. Well, first of all, we have 4, and one of them is right across from her driveway.
Correct.
And so, but she means the main driveway that will come back to the house that we're in right now. Okay, so we have 4 driveways, 4 different distinct areas of the property.
And she has
only
to drive
one
past 2 of the 4 to get to wherever she needs to go.
So only one comes back here, which she's continued to drive by. All right. So that's the ironic thing. She's literally telling, we have cameras out front. She's continued to drive by. Now you can say, is she taunting? You can say, is she, she's continued to truly try and intimidate George while I haven't been here. Although I feel confident that George has the appropriate security and protection while I'm not here, and I can have private protection actually caring for George and Deanna while I'm not here, where I couldn't do that if I actually was here based on this fraudulent temporary order.
So fraudulent.
It's ridiculous. Among other what's that word right there? That's a big word. I might have to have Megan read that to me.
Indignities.
Yep, that's the word. Whew, that's a big one. DeThomasis often spoke over Hale's counsel. He did that constantly.
He sure did.
And listened to every word Lynette or Silver Scam had to say. Every word. And then refused to let Hales present his case, threatened his lawyers with contempt. He did all of these things. And accused them of misleading the court. Gave Preston, who was self-represented for a time, legal advice. Now, let's pause right there.
So many times. Litigated from the
Complete
bench.
And total illegal. A judge cannot act as a lawyer from the bench. A judge is a judge. And somebody who is representing themselves, a pro se litigant, is to be respected and is to be dealt with the same as somebody who has legal representation, which DeThomasis did the exact opposite.
Especially during the 3 ex parte hearings.
That we didn't even know about until George came up with this genius idea. Wait, what if I go back and I look? Could you imagine if the appellate courts didn't even see these 3 ex parte hearings where there was no legal representation for myself or me, and he's giving legal advice the entire time. Those 3 hearings alone. So George was genius in the aspect of going back and digging further.
Yeah, something prompted me to look at the court paper that she posted online.
Yeah. And those alone should have him debenched and never sitting as a judge again. It's horrific what he has done in this courtroom. Okay, so it goes on to say, gave Preston, who was a self-represented for a time, legal advice, argued on behalf of Preston, wasted the litigant's time, repeating the entire case history multiple times for no reason. Oh my goodness. And people say, I repeat myself? YouTube is a different type of beast. So when we repeat ourselves, it's because there's always new viewers. And I think it's really wrong for a viewer to come in on the channel and go, well, I already know all of this. That's great. YouTube or this video wasn't created for you. It was created for us. And then YouTube pushes it out to new people that don't know what you know. Right. And so everybody coming in, if they didn't know, now they know. Everybody's up to speed with one another. YouTube isn't for one person. If this YouTube channel is for one person, would it be me or you?
We'd only have 2 subscribers.
It'd be so. The reality is, we started the channel for us. Okay, it's our personal video diary, and whether people watch or not, I mean, if you want to watch, you're always welcome to. If you don't want to watch, like George said, just don't.
No one forces.
Nobody forces anybody to watch or not to watch. It's a video diary or a video scrapbook of our lives.
Right.
The highs and the lows. And so
the channel, when I first got introduced to the channel, Jeremy would record our dates. It would just be, he would record
for
our
us.
adventures.
It was just for us. It was just for us. And so it still is that. This is for us, and it's material we need for courts, and it's material that we're going to save and preserve for courts and things along those lines. But Judge Grudge, the only reason he repeats himself is to cost me more money. Now, she's pro se, at least she was, and there's no extra money out of her pocket. For me, the bill just kept climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, and continues to do that to this day. This man repeats everything. He blamed Hales for the constant delays in the case when all but one was caused by Preston. I can't even count how many delays there have been in the case. It was Preston didn't show up for her deposition. It was Preston. Now I need a continuance. I got a new lawyer. It was I had to get a new lawyer because Preston accused mine of illegally bribing her, which now I needed a new lawyer. She caused that. All of this was caused by Preston.
The very first hearing that Jeremy finally attended when he made his way back to Florida for the winter season, it was her and the judge that caused it to go into a continuance. And we were ready to go
and be done.
That was not held up. The continuance was not because of our side. It was because of her and the judge not allowing Mark to that extra 15 minutes, but was willing to come back on a midnight or a weekend to hear out the hearing, which makes no sense.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all. And an attempt to make new case law to take away Hale's First Amendment rights to report on his case publicly using a novel cyberbullying law that doesn't apply at all to this case. At all. There's no doubt Judge Grudge was trying to make a name for himself in Levy County in the state of Florida in the aspect of what YouTube is. And what YouTube is the largest media platform on the planet. And news of our lives is what we daily broadcast. And he wanted to limit that. As a matter of fact, he doesn't want anybody to know about him. But we're going to do everything we can to share with everyone about him. It was truly a sight to behold. You can watch her coverage, and we'll send a link there so you can actually click on the link to watch Megan's coverage, and it will blow your mind from a professional journalist point of view. Her playlist of what happened. Hale's attorney, Randy Shockett, Doreen Ingalls, wrote 3 motions to recuse or to remove DeThomasis for bias that he denied ferociously. He wrote novels denying his bias. Insane. By the way, that's illegal.
That's grounds to recuse yourself.
He literally in his rebuttal gave the appellate courts everything they needed to say, you are operating unlawfully, illegally, get out. And so it goes on to say, even going as far as to refute their arguments with verbose multi-page orders. Finally, Hale's attorneys wrote a writ of prohibition and sent it to the First District Court of Appeals to review DeThomasis' action in the case and asked the higher courts to remove him. I want to be very clear. DeThomasis is in the lowest court possible. He's at the bottom of the barrel. He is not what you would call at the top He's not top shelf. He's not excellent. And he's proven it over and over and over. And the saddest part is, as George already said, he's an educator. I feel so bad for his students, and I feel so bad for his students' clients. And remove him they did. Finally, after months of waiting, the appellate courts removed DeThomasis for illegal and biased judicial actions, writing, this is what the appellate courts had to say about DeThomasis. This court grants Hale's request and issues the writ, finding that he has demonstrated a sufficient basis for disqualification and possibly a second, but certainly his third motion. The court explained that the writ of prohibition is necessary to restrain the unlawful exercise. All right, I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see it right above my finger, which, of course, now I'm not going to be able. It's right here. The unlawful exercise of judicial functions when no other adequate remedy is ordered by the law. In other words, the only option I had, because this judge was rogue and operating illegally, was to get him removed by a higher court. It was horrible. It was a very challenging time. It was a very concerning time. And the stress level has been off the chain, over the roof.
Still is.
My daughter fell.
It still is.
Oh, wait. My daughters can actually walk. They do okay with that. DeThomasis is a bad judge, and he should be removed from the bench entirely after his actions in this case. How do you feel about that? That's what Megan said. How do you feel?
At this point, at first I said, no, let's give him a chance. But then after we discovered the ex parte hearings, that's when majority of the planet said no. Even people from different countries that don't even live in the United States agreed that this behavior is unacceptable even in their country.
There could be complaints coming soon to the Judicial Oversight Board, which we will share with you. There are already in the process. Major things in the process. There is a major group of lawyers that are anti-DeThomasis, some that he thinks are his closest friends, that are working to get him removed from the bench forever. Let's keep going. There could be complaints coming soon to the Judicial Oversight Board, as Hales is not the only litigant in DeThomasis court who has been treated terribly because of his personal grudges the judge holds. In the coming weeks, I'll be covering another case, Gosney versus Griffith, where DeThomasis behaved equally aggressively toward Shockett, who was also the lawyer, that was my lawyer, in this case. A judge who takes all of his dislike out on an attorney and on his client should not be a judge.
No.
Hales told PJ Media, Megan Fox, that he is relieved after the ruling and hopes he gets his rights back in front of a fair judge. Judge Davis in Levy County has been assigned very, very quickly, and he's already stated he wants this out of the courts as fast as possible.
And it should have been resolved within 15 minutes.
Less than 15 minutes. It never should have even went before the court. It's completely and totally bogus. And then she quotes me particularly, while we, meaning George and I, while we rejoice in this personal victory, we are deeply saddened that the average man and woman would not be able to afford the $100,000 plus in legal fees. To date, we're at $180,000. Now that's between Ohio civil protection orders, which is at $8,000, and that's between the federal court case and the Levy County court case. So that's split between 3 court cases at $180,000. So in this particular injunction hearing, the over 100,000+ in legal fees to achieve justice in our country, said Hales. We agonize over how many lives Judge Craig DeThomasis has already destroyed because they couldn't afford to fight his blatant corruption. He must be removed permanently from the bench. Hales will have to go in front of a new judge assigned to the case and start all over again. DeThomasis has been added to Megan Fox's wall of recusals, resignations. Try a YouTube channel sometime and try on the fly just to speak and say words. It's not as easy as it looks.
It's one and done. There's no takeover. Nothing scripted.
Resignations, removals that I've been keeping over the years when bad judges, attorneys, guardians, ad litems resign in disgrace or are removed in cases I cover. You can see the compilation of Judge Grudge's bad behavior and legal opinions on the montage below, which we will pin this article so you can see exactly what Megan had to say. And Megan has been an incredible advocate through this entire process. We praise the Lord for her, her level head, and her professionalism, covering what may be one of the most unprofessional judges we have ever witnessed in our lives.